East Coast Horror Group.
They're here.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
East Coast Horror Group presents Dead Eye Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations! You're listening to the East Coast Horror Group presenting Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight, we will present horror movie reviews and lively debate here on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com and on future select Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can join our live chat at that time by clicking on the live shows link on the EastCoastHorrorGroup.com website. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann, coming to you from the East Coast of Lake Michigan. It's my honor to introduce the Faculty of Fear panel presenting tonight's lectures. Right to the post, baby. All right, so let's start with our good friend Danielle McKay. She's an actress and now director with Buckshort Productions. Buckshort Productions is 100% pure, uncut underground horror coming straight from the new vein of terror, Atlanta, Georgia. Hello, Danielle.
Hello, hello, hello.
We're so glad to have you back on tonight's program, and you picked a really interesting movie, and we'll be getting to that a little bit later. But first, I have to do this. The meat is on the way. Ladies and gentlemen, America's little sweetheart, the original ace of base, the killer clown of getting down, the speedy freak that loves to speak and streak. He is the only and lonely Rich Dalzotto.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, that was fantastic. Okay, and and last but not least, the man they call the face of Jason, a sincere zombie apologist. It's the man of two voices. It's Coach Michael Exler, the dean of students. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me on this wonderful show. And
thank you
I'm
for
really
keeping the energy
looking
up.
forward to tonight. A lot of good movies.
Yeah, I think
talk
it's
about.
going to be a great show, even though Rich is here. So it's going to be fantastic. All right, we're going to start things off with you tonight, Mike. Mike, what have you been watching?
So I wanted to do a little bit of a combo review. Wanted to... What?
What
Oh.
happened?
Huh?
What did you say, oh Jesus, for?
Combat review. It sounds like I have to think.
No.
Nobody's
try to
going to
make it
require
as
you to
easy as
think,
possible.
Rich.
No, not at all.
Not that type of show.
Correct.
We wouldn't ask that much, I mean.
Oh, not at all. So I've been into some comics lately, and I picked this one up. It's called The Chair. It's independently put out by Alternia Comics, and basically it's as indie as you get as far as comics go. It's black and white. It's real grainy and gritty, but the story is really, really good. I really don't want to give a ton away, but the basics are you just are put in a cell basically with a guy that was committed of killing 12 children, and he is claiming his innocence while trying to live in horrible cell conditions in this prison. So that's the basic start of the story, and it kind of goes from there.
Okay.
How
How many issues in this?
I think this was only like maybe 6.
Okay, so it was basically a short graphic novel type thing, right?
Yeah, it was just a short run
Okay.
of a book.
That's
It
what I
wasn't-
was looking for, short run. Okay.
It was the end. this book, as far as horror goes, Tim, I always talk about like dark horror and what I think horror should be. I haven't seen a story like this in quite some time, actually. I think it's original and it's crazy. The ending, there's definitely no white picket fences and things like that. So the story was really good. I went back and read it again, and it was just really well done. And then I heard that there was a movie done. So that's really all I want to talk about the comic. But definitely go check out the comic, The Chair. It's put out by Alternia. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere you get your comic books.
Okay.
So, the film I found to be on Amazon Prime.
It is. And we'll have a link to that later on.
Yeah, we'll have that link. So, I turned it on. I didn't look at who was in it. I was like, oh, I just want to watch it. So I turned it on, and it turns out that guy that we used to have on the show every once in a while, Robert Corpsey Ryan, is a producer and was actually in it for a minute. But one of the main stars is Roddy Piper. We all know who that is. Rich, do you know who that is?
Never heard of him.
Okay. But there's some other people that are in it that I personally
hold on.
never...
We're going to let that go. That's a lie, Rich. You've even met him. That's a lie.
I met a Roddy Piper, but I've never met a Roddy Piper.
You liar!
God
damn it.
But the dude from the dude from Gremlins is in it. Zach Galligan, and Naomi Grossman is in it.
Fred Thompson, or not Fred Thompson, Brian Thompson, right?
Who's that?
Well, one of his other credits is one of Rich's favorite movies, if it's who I'm thinking of.
He's not in Dirty Dancing.
No, Brian Thompson. I'm double checking my stuff. Yep, that's Brian Thompson, who was one of the lead goons in Fright Night 2.
Ugh.
He's a big, huge guy. He usually plays a tough.
Can I review Dirty Dancing sometime?
No.
No.
I'm not sitting through a review of Dirty Dancing ever in my life.
Right.
That could be on our new show, Horror and Hallmark.
All right.
It was a summer of love and dancing. She got her nose chopped. Wasn't the same. He got cancer and died. End of story.
My God.
I will come to your house. And
They kept baby in the corner.
There was an abortion somewhere in there.
You know, I'm starting to think about it. This could be done.
So.
Oh, that's a show idea.
Write that down. Write that down, Rick.
Review.
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. Write it down. Write it
All
down.
right.
Okay, don't give it away. All right. Whew. Oh, that was a close one there, Mike.
It was. So, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, the chair of the movie.
The chair. What is up on your screen right now?
Don't you guys miss when I used to fall asleep during this show?
No.
So this other guy, Bill Oberst Jr., I don't know. He plays sort of one of the main leads. And I've never heard of him, but it looks like he's played some smaller roles in some bigger films. And
He's actually a great actor. He's if you guys have seen Circus of the Dead, he's the main actor in that.
Well, that's good because he was the shining spot of the film, if there was one. This guy, he kind of got what the film was, I think, and everybody else just didn't. This material, I mean, it's dark and it's deep, and I think it takes a certain kind of person to really pull off especially the main role of the prisoner. And I believe the person that they got just didn't didn't really do that justice. And as much as I like Roddy Piper, I just don't think that this was the role for him. You needed a really like cold-blooded psychopath type individual for one part of the story. They did a competent job on the film. It looked decent, but I think it really lacked talent in the acting department.
It lacked talent. That's nice.
if you recast this
Yeah.
with people that have some chops, I think this would be a Hollywood film. But I mean, this was made for $200,000. I guess they did a Kickstarter, and for what it wasn't bad. I can't dog it too much, but the source material is just so good that
So it was a disappointment because you had it built up in your head how good it could be.
oh, definitely. It's definitely a film that could be done. It's just getting the actors on board to do it that are a right fit.
Okay,
And,
so do it. Who are you going to cast? Who would you cast in that main role? That role that you're thinking could have used some help.
I think it's Jeff Bridges would work.
So it's an older character?
Yeah, older,
Okay.
middle age, somewhere in the older spectrum. But
Well, luckily I have budget for that, so we're good.
yeah, exactly. So it's not always in everyone's budget, but
Right.
if you have Amazon Prime, I mean, it's on there. Give it a watch. I don't know how that shit works. I don't know if they get money or whatever for how many people watch, but do it, and definitely pick up The Chair.
All right. Okay, wait, we were supposed to do grading. I forgot. Hold on. Here goes the grading. Oh, come on. There it goes. All right. So, what grade are you going to give 2017's The Chair?
The movie is definitely going to get a D.
Okay.
Just some of the parts were just mangled because of the acting, and they left a couple parts out I thought should have definitely been left in. So definitely gets a strong D.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but it sounds like the storyline itself was pretty good. So that's a good sign. All right. Well, we're going to be moving on here, and we are going to go to... Now, I'm supposed to surprise somebody. I am going to press this button and see who shows up. That'd be Rich. Rich, what have you been watching?
Oh, sorry.
What?
I was hoping it was your mom that was a surprise.
Oh, wait, here. I know you want this. I just have to find it again. There it is. There you go. Go ahead, Rich. What have you been watching?
I've been watching John Carpenter's Body Bags from 1993, if you can't read the screen.
Okay.
Why would you do it? Sorry.
Well, as you know, I'm a
It's a
big
little
John
sigh.
Carpenter fan, and I thought, let's revisit this, and maybe it escaped some people's viewing back in the 90s because they were having a lot more fun than I was. And I wish it had escaped my viewing again.
This is one of those movies I always think maybe I was too harsh on and I should watch again. I think I've done that to myself 3 times so far. And it's like, no, it never improves.
Well, for those who may not be familiar with Body Bags, it was actually a collaboration with John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper. So, I mean, you hear that and you're already thinking, okay, home run. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But anyway, what they tried to create here, and others have said this, and I have to agree, it seemed like they were trying to come up with their own version of Tales from the Crypt. The movie opens up with their version of the Crypt Keeper, which in this case is played by John Carpenter. He is a ghoul, kind of mortician or whatever in a morgue. John Carpenter probably was the wrong casting for this part. It was the beginning of a quick downhill slide. not a great. He's no crypt keeper. Let's put it that way.
All right.
It was just poorly delivered. The jokes fell flat. And I have to believe between these guys and the resources available to them, they could have gotten better writing, and they could have cast somebody that would have performed better in this role. But anyway, it's a 3-part anthology movie. No correlation between the three. And one of them is called The Gas Station, I believe. These are generic names. I don't know if they're the actual names or if they even named them. But Gas Station, it's about a basically a maniac killer, serial type killer that takes part in place in a gas station. The overnight shift, ladies working her first shift there, and a series of events leads her to a confrontation with this killer. The second part of this, and thankfully John Carpenter appears between each segment so that you get some more of this Oscar award performance. The next one is The Hair. It's about a middle-aged gentleman who his vanity is getting the best of him, and he'll do anything to get hair back in the areas that are going bald on his head. And it leads to a bad outcome for him. I'm going to try not to give anything much away in case people haven't seen this.
The worst outcome is you watched it and then it ends.
Wow. Not going to argue with you.
By the way, I just checked. The 1993 Academy Award went to Unforgiven.
Nice.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. So it must have edged out John Carpenter's Body Bags.
I'm sure barely.
Yeah.
Millimeters.
That's been close.
It was a close race, yeah.
I think Clint Eastwood ran kind of a campaign, if I remember right. So he has a lot of money.
Well, that's not fair.
Yeah.
The last segment is The Eye, and it's about a minor league baseball player who's on the cusp of moving up to the majors, who is involved in a bad accident that causes him to lose an eye. And the doctor comes along and says, "Hey, I'm going to transplant this eye, and you're going to be better than ever." And you can imagine the various things that happen when you get a transplanted eye in a horror film. So, again, I'm not going to go into much detail about each segment. I will say Hair was my favorite of the three.
Okay.
What I really thought would be interesting to focus on is going down a list of just some of the names that were in these various segments and wonder how this film could come across so flat, the jokes so poor. And before I go down these names, it was amazing how bad the dialogue was and the directing, considering John Carpenter being involved. This looked like a low budget, GoFundMe type movie that somebody was, trying to get their foot in the door of making movies, as opposed to somebody's established as John Carpenter and Tobe Hooper.
Well, this was well before the GoFundMe days. So
I know. I'm just trying to give an example for today's crowd.
To me, I thought this was something that they threw out there when Creepshow hit. And they're like, well, what else can we do?
Well, just listen to some of the cast members of this.
I know.
And you wonder how it could be so bad. But
Right.
Robert Carradine,
Right.
Wes Craven, Sam Raimi, David Naughton, Stacy Keach, who put the best performance on, in my opinion. That was in The Hair. Sheena Easton, Kim Alexis, Greg Nicotero, Debbie Harry, Mark Hamill. Well, that can explain bad performance. But anyway.
Now.
John Agar and Roger Corman.
At any time, did Mark Hamill drink any color milk?
He did not, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, just checking, because that's usually the hallmark of a bad performance for him.
But on paper, this just seems like it would be such a fun thing to watch and enjoy. But it just it's actually pretty painful to get through it.
Yeah, that's my memory of it too. Okay, well, it looks like it's time for you to give it its grade. Rich,
I'm gonna.
What do you grade it?
I'm going to give it a C minus. And the only reason it's not lower is because the fact that they were able to bring that collection of people together and try something different, I give them a little bit of credit.
All right.
Extra
Fantastic.
credit, if you will.
Extra credit. So, I think this one's available out on Amazon. I'm not sure if it's on Prime, but you can get this one fairly easy, but you're kind of saying skip it.
I would not put it at the top of my list, no.
Okay. So that brings next to our faculty room. What are we calling it? Lecture hall. We have Danielle. Danielle, what have you been watching?
I have been watching The Eyes of My Mother. It is an extremely art house film that is American made, but it feels like a foreign film.
It has the atmosphere of a foreign film?
I'm sorry?
It has the atmosphere of a foreign film?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the character, or the family that all of the characters consist of, is an American and Portuguese family. So that definitely adds to it, as well as the atmosphere in general. It follows a woman who has had multiple events happen throughout her life that have led her to a sociopathic lifestyle. And it's broken up in 3 different parts. The first one is Mother, and it tells the story and events that happened to her mother that made the woman the way she is. And then the second chapter is Father, and it's the same thing. And then the third one is Family. And with each chapter, we see how these events have molded her into the crazy lifestyle that she lives. Sorry, guys, I'm not thinking of words real great right now. Okay. It does not have good reviews at all, which surprises me. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I thought it was, it's an art house film for sure. So if you're not a movie person, you're definitely not going to enjoy it. But if you're a movie person, horror person, I don't know what would drive you away from it. It's very successful in everything that it attempts. It's a little pretentious, but that's what you should expect from just about any art house story. So,
all right.
You drove Mike away when you said art house.
That usually is a trigger word for me as well. Now, does it scare you? It's flat out. Is it at least make you feel uncomfortable, or what's?
Yes. Okay. It's not jump scary, and the gore is a minimum. It's very cutaway and a psychological scare.
Okay.
But the whole time I was watching it, my shoulders were tense, and it wasn't anything scary necessarily, but it definitely puts you on edge.
Okay. Fantastic.
How does it compare to Hereditary as far as pretentiousness?
I actually have a habit of watching movies long after their popularity period, so I've yet to see Hereditary.
All right, how about Babadook? That's another one.
It's funny that you mentioned that. That was actually one of the inspirations for the director.
Oh, boy.
And you just ensured Mike will never watch this movie.
It's interesting because it almost feels like a Hitchcock film because everything is so intentional. I actually read a review that says it's a mix between Alfred Hitchcock and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's a pretty good way of putting it, except the gore isn't up there.
Not quite there.
The Texas Chainsaw.
Okay.
And you were talking about eye implants in a body bag. That happens in this movie, so that's pretty interesting.
Interesting.
Cow eyes, specifically.
All right. Are you ready to give it a grade?
I am.
Okay. See, I could sense it. All right. So, I'm thinking this will be the highest score yet today because there hasn't been a whole lot of love given out on today's show. So
Can I give it 2 grades?
Because it's you, yes.
Okay. All right. So from the filmmaker standpoint, I would give it an A+. And then just on a general audience standpoint, I would probably give it like a B-.
Okay. So, who should you kind of were talking about this earlier. Who should go out and get this? Oh God, that didn't work at all.
Film buffs, anyone? I like that.
Yeah, well, we're working on it. Never did this
Film buffs, horror buffs, anyone that actually can sit there and appreciate the art of a movie more so than the funness of a film.
The funness of a film?
The funness of a film.
I think we need to create a new word for funness.
The enjoyment. Because
enjoy-
it's really dark. It's hard to enjoy, but the art behind it is what made me really enjoy it. So anyone that's into artsy movies or, like I said, just film buffs in general.
Okay. Well, fantastic. Thank you very much. And guess what? I'm up next. Let's see here. I don't think I've ever reviewed this movie before. I did a rewatch to get this because this year my theme I decided was going to be monster movies and animals gone berserk. So the movie I picked was 2012's The Bay. Do you remember me ever talking about this? I couldn't find any history that I reviewed this on the show. Do you remember?
Yeah, that show that we did that one time.
Did I?
Two
Did I
shows
review
ago.
this?
Yeah, two
Okay.
shows ago.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about it again because this is an interesting movie. It's, I say just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. It has an impressive pedigree. It had Barry Levinson was the director. Now that's the guy that made some of my favorite movies in the 80s, including Diner, Wag the Dog, Rain Man, Good Morning Vietnam. I love the movie Young Sherlock Holmes. He was behind that one. He also was like the lead producer and creative behind Oz from, what was that, on HBO or Showtime? I think that was HBO. So he's created a lot of great stuff. The producers included Jason Blum, who you know from Blumhouse, and Oren Paley, and he's of the Paranormal Activity movies. The thing that's interesting is I went through the whole Barry Levinson filmography, which is extensive. This is the only horror movie I saw on the list. I might have missed something, but it looks like this was his only attempt. And on top of it, it's a found footage movie, which we all know that can be the death knell of many horror movies. But he decided to go found footage. Now, as far as the actors, you probably don't know any of them. And I think that was purposefully so that you thought that this isn't a movie. You know, I think they were really going for the fake documentary thing here. The only guy in there that you might have heard of is if you're watching that TV show Ozark. The guy that plays Sheriff Nix is in here as a doctor for the CDC. Other than that, I don't think there's anybody really recognizable in the whole thing. The movie takes place in Claridge, Maryland, which is on the Chesapeake Bay on July 4th. And there are a lot of course, if I'm reviewing it, there are a lot of parallels to a certain little fish movie that I like. I'm not going to mention the name of the movie.
Which one is that?
I usually get yelled at. When I bring up the name of the movie, people yell at me. So I'm not going to say. But this movie is more... It's like a sci-fi type thing. Now, if you read the the IMDb page, they talk about, well, this is very close to what could happen. Well, if you remember Day of the Animals that I did like 2-3 weeks ago, they thought that was going to happen with the ozone layer falling apart. I think this is a tad bit far-fetched, but it's a good opening for a horror movie. It's a very cringy type of Parasite movie. Little body horror in here. There's a lot of looking at boils and just kind of gross things in there. And it kind of falls into the monster apocalypse world. You know, we all know about the zombie apocalypse type of films. There's been a vampire apocalypse TV show that I loved called The Strain. There's a lot of those. This is more the monster variety, where the monsters just come through and destroy everything. Now, the movie is set up found footage, and the main, I guess I would call it the A story, is a young reporter that was covering the festivities at July 4th when things go horribly wrong, right? And the whole idea of this, quote, documentary is all of this footage had been held by the U.S. government and not available for 3 years, and now it finally had become available, and they're interviewing this reporter trying to put together the events, the events of that day. Now, there's a storyline that happens prior to July 4th, which is the divers who first discover these isopods, and I'll be talking more about that in a minute. Then there's a story of the doctor that's at the emergency room, and he's working with the CDC to try to figure out what's going on. And then kind of another framing story is this young couple that is boating toward the town across the bay with their baby to visit their parents. So, of course, that's the, baby in peril type thing going on. The isopods in question, and this isn't a spoiler because anything you read about it, basically they remind me a lot of the Creeps from Night of the Creeps. They're these, slugs about yay long. Lots of jump scares. They work really well. The effects are very good. The makeup effects are very good. I honestly, and this is high praise, I can't tell the isopods that they show, these little creatures, I can't tell if they're computer generated, if they were practical, or what. I couldn't tell. That's a great sign to me. They did a very good job of explaining all the footage. When you're doing these found footage movies, it's always like, why the hell does this guy still have the camera? What is wrong with him? Put down the camera and go. By having the reporter kind of pushing this guy to keep filming, a lot of the footage was, quote, security cams, or one of the creepiest scenes is a cop dash cam. They really do place, why is there a camera there? How did this happen? So I think they do a great job there. One of the things, and I never thought about this until I watched it this time, one of the things is, if you have parents with their baby, they do videotape every goddamn thing that happens, right? That's all they do is videotape the child until they're about, 20. So it made a lot of sense that these parents were videotaping absolutely everything because, the cute little cucumber was there. So,
do they use a lot of fallback, like cell phone camera footage?
They do cell phone footage. They're like the diver's story. Like each story has its own thing going on. The diver's story, they're doing video because they're science researchers. So they're almost making like a Shark Week documentary, and they're checking out the Chesapeake Bay and all the pollution, right? Mm-hmm. The hospital, they have the hospital cameras that are watching the waiting room, but the doctor keeps calling up the CDC on Skype. So you're seeing all these Skype conversations.
Gotcha.
The reporter is doing the TV spots, and then I told you about the baby, where they're just videotaping this baby farting on a Friday. They're taking a video of it. They found FaceTime. Yeah, you got it. FaceTime is referenced in it, even though the events start in are set in 2009. I think FaceTime was like 2011 or something. It came out, but small little things like that, nitpicky. Geeks think of stuff like that. But they did a smart job of kind of, okay, here's the explanation of it. It's a creepy little feature. It doesn't overdo it. Now, the question I usually ask, is it scary? I'm not going to say like, oh, you're going to lose your sleep over this thing. But there's a number of really good jump scares that get you. And what's interesting, like there's this one fish movie I know that has a total of 2 really good jump scares in it, but it doesn't go any further than that. And as long as you keep it to about 2, 2 or maybe 3, you're okay. This one got in, I think, almost 5 of them. And they all worked. Because usually after a while, like I feel Alien, the later on jump scares don't work because a goddamn cat comes out like 3,000 times. And it's like, okay, it's just the cat again. It's the damn cat. It's the cat. So after a while, you don't trust it. This movie is still kind of trusted enough that the jump scares kept working. And I think a lot of that was, it wasn't just those little creatures crawling around that the jump scares were based on. Let's see. I had another point here and I lost my spot. But it builds a nice tension. So throughout the movie, you're just kind of like on edge, going, where the hell is this thing going? This is creepy. Who's going to survive? All that stuff is going through your head. It's nothing where you're going to have to go to your bed having all the lights on, but it's a creepy little flick. So I enjoyed it, and I think it's time for me to do some grading on it. And there we go. And any guesses as to where I'm going to put it?
B.
B.
You guys are close. Right, okay. I gave it a B+. I gave it a B+. So the B's are close enough. I really just kind of enjoyed it. It's a good fun film. Not horribly. It isn't the dark horror that you're looking for, but as far as monster movies go, Mike, this is one of the more harsh monster movies. It's a little deeper than many are, and the creature effects are good, and the horror makeup is completely disgusting. I mean, just yucko type of stuff. One of the things with these isopods, when they get inside of people because they're a parasite, they start eating the person from within, so they get boils, and it's really foul and disgusting looking, and the creature's moving under the skin and all that stuff. That's creepy stuff, and the makeup looked realistic enough. It looked like, okay, that isn't just, Rick Baker dreaming something up. It looked like it could be a medical condition. So I really appreciated that from a movie making perspective. And of course, Barry Levinson, he's got the type of cachet where, look, this guy's got so much power, he got the movie toys made. So people will just give him whatever to make these films. So they give him a lot of room to do whatever he wants. So the movie is The Bay, and I recommend it. And it's fairly available. It's on many of the streaming services. It's one of those movies, though, that depending on when you watch this, it goes out and then they pull it back, and then it goes out and they pull it back. It's one of those. So
I have a problem with your review.
I know you do. I didn't swear enough?
No, I literally have no video of either of my children. So to say what you did about parents videotaping every moment.
Do you really?
Well, I mean, we're not saying you're a shitty dad, but
No, I'm okay with that. Really, you didn't video it?
The shoe
Hey,
fits.
let me tell you, every time I go to, I saw somebody the other day, and I know there aren't many of these left, but you guys being horror fans, you know about this thing. It's called a shopping mall. I was at a shopping mall, and I'm like dating this episode now by saying this. I was at a shopping mall the other day, and I saw two parents videotaping their kid walking through the shopping mall. Now, it's February. It's not Christmas, so they're not going to see Santa Claus or something. I'm like, what on earth are you videotaping your kids going to, well, it isn't Boston store, where they were at J.C. Penney's. That's where they were. I'm like, what the hell are you videotaping this for? Just taking video. I'm like, what the hell? Go to Walmart like the rest of us. I mean, come on. I didn't understand that, but I see that a lot.
You really went off the rails there.
I
don't
did.
understand why they had to go to Walmart.
Well, it's what I do. I go off the rails. We all know about that. Hey, we're in that special part of the show where we all pitch our shit and tell everybody what we're up to. And as soon as I get things set up, of course, that didn't work. Where are you? Here we go. Danielle, why don't you tell us about what you've been working on?
I am currently writing for the first feature that I will be directing. I think I've said that before, but this is good. It's really big stuff. I am also in the early stages of setting up a new production company. I recently moved to the West Coast. I'm in LA now. So I'm working on getting some solid stuff set up out here. So stay tuned. It shouldn't be too long before I start announcing stuff for the new company.
Okay, so moving away from Buck Short, should we have a new link coming up here?
We should soon. I'm still working on it.
Okay.
So next time I'm back on the show, I should be able to solidly connect some things.
All
Buck
right.
Short's still doing great. Richard Tanner's taken that over by himself. So, yeah, it's still going strong. I just go in different directions since I'm on the opposite coast now.
Sure. Sounds great, and we wish all of you great success. Can't wait to see this movie that you're going to be directing, and I'm sure you're writing in parts for all of us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm an awful good leading man as long as the leading woman is really cute. Just so you know.
Awesome. Good to know.
There you go. So
I'll have to send you some of it. It's a fun one.
Oh, it's awesome. That's great.
I'm
All
a good
right.
leading man as long as she's a nice person to talk to and spend time with.
No, I
You're
didn't
dumb.
say
I don't
that.
care about the looks.
Good answer.
This is the meat. So
But I mean, if she's cute, it doesn't hurt, you know.
never hurts. Never hurts. I am completely shallow. Okay, so Mike, what do you want to talk about with EastCoastHorrorGroup.com? I got the website up here. We put out.
We just put out last Dead On movie reviews. Adam's still got some very cool articles going on out there.
Yeah.
And we are also working on the Cannibal Killer Clowns on Dope episode.
No, we are not. That is not going to happen.
So that's something to look forward to for everybody to
hold on.
enjoy.
I have somebody with some pull around here. Danielle, does this sound like a good idea at all to watch this movie?
Which movie?
What is it? Cannibal Killer Clowns on Dope?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a fun watch. Why not?
Danielle, you were supposed to agree with me right there.
I know, but I am all for if a movie's fun, it's not bad. If you have fun watching it, then it's worth watching.
What if you have no fun at all watching it?
If you have no fun at all, then fuck that movie.
And it's one of those films that needs to be seen, though. I don't know how to explain it. I need to get this film out.
You've been working on this for quite a while. We will figure out a date that
Who's
we'll set
involved?
this up, because I think, didn't we want all the panelists, as many panelists as possible, to weigh in on that one? Yeah, because you're not happy just torturing me. You're looking to torture as many people as possible, aren't you?
Are we all gonna watch it together? That's cute.
I don't know.
Oh,
Are
I
we
know.
watching it together? No.
No,
Family
just
movie
all, just all separate, and then we have to come and talk about it.
That's
Then
fine.
we have
I
to
just
find
watch
the
you guys anyway. It's cool.
This is so painful. I don't know why you do these things to me. I am such a little sweetheart. I don't get it. All right. Moving on. Rich, what have you been up to?
Well, working on my goals. I'm hoping to get out of this chair without pulling a hamstring. And
Aim high, buddy.
you know, maybe I'll make it through the week without hanging myself.
Do you want to talk about something that might be coming back?
My weight.
You know, I walk them right up to it, right? I walk them right up to it.
Prepped for that.
Okay. Mike, can you read between the lines?
Yes, we are soon working to unveil Otherworldly Culture Radio 2.0. Total facelift, lots of new stuff coming out. Website transition and more. Almost said transmission, like a car.
No, you actually did say transmission. You just caught yourself.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I don't know what a car has to do with things, but
Okay.
yeah, lots of stuff going on.
And
To
people
be
should remember.
determined.
We should also remind people that there are still 3 East Coast Horror Group shirts available, and by 3 we mean 300 that you can purchase. A special new price, which is $10 million. They're a collector's item.
It's a bargain at any cost.
That's it, brother.
I didn't know they were that cheap. Go order 12.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
Some say
Worth every penny.
They're worth a penny. Yep. Actually, they're really good quality shirts. It's just a design on it, you know. Oh god. So, whoop, wrong one. Come on, hit the damn right button. Okay. So I don't know what just happened there. So we talked about the website. Danielle got us up to date with what she's doing in Hollywood. And our next show is what? In about 2 weeks or so, we're going to have another show. So keep tuned to our Facebook page for that. And apparently whenever we do this stupid Cannibal Killer Clowns nonsense, that'll be out there as well.
yes.
I am on record. I'm against this. Okay? Just saying. All
This
right.
is changing lives, people. Changing lives.
Yeah,
right here.
I'm with it.
I'm going to be
Nice.
changing my shorts after this thing. All right. So, until next time, and you'll appreciate this, Rich, I decided I'm going to end the show this year with a quote from John Carpenter.
Ooh,
Do you like that?
maybe.
Yeah, you can't even commit. All right. So, hang in there, Pumpkin, until our next show. Remember, as John Carpenter once said, horror is a reaction. It's not a genre.
I dig that too.
Did you like that?
East Coast Horror Group.
I know you like that.
I had the show of my life, and I owe it all to
No,
my
you cannot.
Tim.
No dirty dancing on the horror movie show. Do not even talk about that. That's terrible. I can't believe it. Oh, you are so bad. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll
Nobody
be
puts the
coming
meat
back
in the
soon.
corner.
Don't put the meat in the corner? Okay. Remember to tune in next time to Dead On Movie Reviews here on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com.